Welcome to the Sellernomics podcast, where we share valuable tips and information in the Amazon and e-commerce space. Each week, we deliver the best interviews with some of the top Amazon personalities in the industry to help you grow your business. Today's episode is brought to you by Getida, the global leader in FBA auditing and reimbursements. Get $400 in free FBA reimbursements at Getida.com/Sellernomics. And now, here is your host, Lisa Kinski.
Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode of Sellernomics. My name is Lisa Kinski. I'm your solo host for the day, but as always, I do have a very exciting guest with me. Today, I am speaking with Hymie Zebede. You guys probably have heard his name, and we are going to be talking about the Amazon algorithm with key tips for success in 2024. So let's go ahead and bring him on. Hymie, how are you?
Hey Lisa, I'm great. How are you?
Doing very well. Thank you, dear. So talking about success in 2024, right? I think everybody thinks that the road to success is paved with PPC. So I want to first start talking about organic rank on Amazon and how significant it is and how sellers can really put a focus on their organic rank.
Great question. It's one of my favorite topics actually is organic rank. A lot of people focus mainly on ads. I think that's the only way to build up a listing, which is true. Ads are important, but you have to look at the conversion rates on the ads because that'll affect the organic rank as well as external traffic. And ads are great, but what about when your budget runs out? You know, that would mean if you're not ranked organically, that's it, all your sales just shut off suddenly. Or every year, more and more people are coming into Amazon, bidding on the same couple keywords. It's going to keep going up and up the price. So everyone needs to focus on organic ranking and looking at where you are, where your competitors are. Should I go into more detail or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, No, go for it. I mean, tell us about some of the kind of levers that they need to pull with their product and their listing to increase their organic rank.
First of all, your listing has to convert. You need to make sure that your listing is beautiful. It can't just be the same as the competitors. You have to try to outdo them because if you're getting traffic to your listing and you're not converting, Amazon's going to see that, and they're not going to want to show you for those words that they tested you out by sending the traffic to. So you need to make sure your listing is beautiful images. Also, you have to have good reviews on your listing. It doesn't have to be thousands and thousands of reviews. More important to have a good review average. Your price has to be competitive. Doesn't have to be the cheapest. You don't want to be the cheapest, but you also don't want to be the most expensive. It has to be something that if people see your listing, the image is going to make them want to click into it, and they're going to see the price, and they're going to see, that it, a couple different uses in the title and in the bullets, and maybe the infographics, and they're going to want to buy it. When Amazon is basically testing you out for a lot of different keywords. Like if you're not looking, I like to use Helium 10, but really any keyword tracker will do. But if you're not tracking where you are, then you can't see, how anything is affecting anything. You can't see, if I had a deal, if I had a lightning deal or a 7-day deal, how did that affect my ranking? Most people don't make money on, Amazon deals when there's like a 7-day deal and they're asking to do like a big discount. But it could be very useful if you're showing up on the page one or in the middle of page one or even the bottom for a lot of different words. And now you have a deal badge. When they're searching those words and they see you with the deal badge, they're going to want to click into your listing and buy it. And Amazon sees you converting on those terms, and then they'll bring you up organically. You have to track it. If you're not tracking, you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I think I'm glad you brought up the perspective of price. So right now, my boyfriend and I are searching for accent chairs, like a very specific chair, and we know what we want to pay for it. And we've clicked into so many different listings, and it's what we want, but either they want too much for shipping or the price of the product isn't what we want to pay for it. So I know I'm impacting all of these sellers' rankings, but it's like I don't want to pay $300 for one chair. I'm sorry, I just don't. Like, this is what I want, but I want it $300 for two. like the listing is solid and the images are good, but it's the price that's the problem. So from your perspective, let's talk a little bit about PPC strategy. So I mean, just I think we can hard stop there. Talk to us about a PPC strategy, building something that'll be successful this year.
My whole philosophy with PPC is it either has to make you money. If you're advertising on Words or ASINs, if it's making you money, then you want to spend more. Every dollar you put into it, if there's good profit there, you can spend. But if it's not making you money, if you're just moving a lot of units through PPC and you're barely making any money, or you might even be losing a little bit of money, it might not. The PPC is it has to make you money on the words, or it has to improve your organic rank. So if you see terms that you're making money on, and you're profitable with every sale, then you want to spend more on it. But if you're losing money on those sales, but it's bringing you a significant amount of sales, there might still be a use for it. You have to look at your organic rank for the keyword and see, am I getting enough sales that last week I was in the 30th spot and I got sales on PPC from this term, but I didn't make money, but now this week I'm in the 20th spot, then you know that it's bringing you up organically. It's an investment in your listing. But if you're not making money and your organic rank is not increasing, there's no point of it. We don't want to sell things at a loss or for free. And I like to always start my listings off with auto campaigns. That's because when I'm building a listing, when I'm optimizing the listing, I'm making sure that I put in a lot of different keywords, long tail, short tail, Spanish, misspellings, all different things that the auto campaigns are going to feed off of. And I'm just going to see so many different words, so many different things that I might not have thought of. And, I'm going to find the perfect clicks. But once I see something that I know my listing is relevant for this term, and there's a decent amount of search volume, I'm looking at my conversion rate and I'm saying, does this have a high conversion rate? If my conversion rate on this term is high, I should be spending a lot because then it'll bring up my organic rank.
Mm-hmm. And talk to us a little bit about what you said an auto campaign and why sellers would want to start with that.
Yeah, a lot of people, for some reason, they don't even start with auto campaigns. They just have like a list of keywords. They say, these are my keywords. I'm going to start targeting these right away. An auto campaign, basically, Amazon will look at your listing and they're looking at the back end and all the keywords that you have in there, and they're letting their algorithm decide, let me test out these words and these words, and it can run forever in auto campaign. It'll just continuously generate more and more terms based on what Amazon thinks your listing would be a good fit for. Remember, Amazon, they don't only want, obviously, maybe it's more of an ads discussion, but they don't only want you to pay for ads. They want to they don't want your cost per click. They want your FBA fee. Like, that's where they get all their money from. They want you to make a sale. So they're going to show you for things that they want to see sales on. And if your listing is optimized properly, they're going to show you for a lot of different terms. And, also in the beginning of a listing, when you're launching it, because if we're talking about an auto campaign, usually that's during the launch, you want to make sure that you have a nice price also, because that'll affect your conversion rate. Should I go into it further? Or?
I was going to say, we probably should have started with this, but when launching a product, what are some of the things sellers need to do to be successful?
When I launch a product, first of all, you have to make sure, triple check that you're not leaving out any good keywords from your title, your bullets, your keywords, the backend keywords, the description, and then even your EBC. And the EBC, you can put alt text. A lot of people leave it blank. Like, I have a little Chrome extension where I can just click it and see everyone's backend alt text. And they let you put 100 characters in each line. And a lot of people leave it blank, or they'll put the same word over and over again. And then you'll look at very big sellers and you'll see that they fill it up, they spam it, they put in misspellings, they put in Spanish words. All those things help. And then also your back-end description, a lot of times it's not showing if you have EBC, but it still helps with indexing. And they give you 2,000 characters to put in it. It's crazy when people don't maximize the 2,000 characters that you can put, especially it's not even showing to the customer. You should put in a lot. I don't want to say spam, but you should put in a lot of keywords.
Yeah, use the tool you've been given. Yeah, so EBC, enhanced brand content, is, you know, your images and videos, things like that. And the alt text, as I understand it, is kind of like hidden image captions, right? Like you said, it's not shown on the listing, but you can say, you know, for the accent chair example, like plush faux leather white accent chair, perfect for lounge, office, bedroom, etc., etc. And that's additional information to give Amazon to index and rank you as, right?
100%, 100%. And most people don't put it. Either they don't put it, or they'll put the same words just over and over again, just like they're telling a story. You know, like it's a crazy thing. What is the name of the image? It's images, but it's huge.
Yeah. Why do you think people don't use it? They just don't know about it, or they're afraid of getting dinged for keyword stuffing, or
no, most people, when I look at if I do an audit on somebody's listing, most people have no idea. They just don't even know. And then I'll show them, I'm like, look at your biggest competitors' keywords and hit, like, why are you completely empty? Like, it can't hurt. It can only help. I'm not saying put brand names into it. I'm saying put relevant terms. That's what it's there for. That they're giving you a box to fill up with keywords.
Yeah.
For each image.
Yeah,
so it's gonna.
I think you're right, because in theory it would give Amazon more information relevant to your product to show to somebody who has that high intent to purchase anyway. So it's gonna win for you, win for Amazon. Yeah, that's crazy. So I guess we can talk a little bit about, well, actually, let's take a quick break, because I feel like the next couple of questions I have we're going to spend a little bit of time on. So we're going to pause for a quick break from our sponsor, but we'll be back in just a second.
Today's episode is brought to you by Getida, the global leader in FBA auditing and reimbursements. Get $400 in free FBA reimbursements at Getida.com/Sellernomics.
All right, y'all, be sure to head over to Getida.com/Sellernomics for that first $400 in FBA reimbursements free. We are back with Hymie Zebede. Hymie, I wanted to talk a little bit about reviews and how that impacts a seller's ranking and algorithm, and then also staying compliant. So that's why we went ahead and did the break, because I feel like that we could spend a lot of time on that, because I know that asking for reviews is kind of people have gotten in trouble before for doing it the wrong way. So how do reviews impact a seller's ranking? Let's just start with that first question.
Reviews definitely make a very big impact on the ranking. But like I said earlier, it doesn't really matter that you have thousands and thousands of reviews. It's more important to have a better review average. When people see that you have a 4-star or a 3.5 star, you know, like half is filled out, like they're seeing there's a defect with the product. And you could clearly see when you're advertising, first of all, you could clearly see a difference in the conversion rates and in the ACOS and everything with, you know, a listing that has a 4.5 filled out, or it has a 4 filled out. Like, people come up to me and they'll say, I have 4-star reviews with 10,000 reviews, but I'm like, you'd be better off with 200 reviews and a 4.5. Like, it's like people don't want to see, they see it's a star missing. It's a full star missing if you have 4-star reviews. And I never recommend ever that anybody mess with anything against the rules with Amazon, regarding, especially with reviews, because Amazon, they'll kick off anybody. They've kicked off sellers that have done hundreds of millions of dollars a year. And it doesn't affect them, because if one guy is selling a phone charger and has doing $100 million a year because he's showing up with the main keyword, and then Amazon decides to kick him off, the guy underneath him is just going to take up that spot. It's not like less people are going to shop on Amazon now because this guy's down. They're still getting the same sales. It's just, so they'll kick off anybody, and it's so dangerous. I've been doing this for 12 years. I've heard crazy horror stories, but people will say, like, oh, what's the big deal? I'm buying a couple reviews. So the big deal is Amazon will see that this person has fake reviews, and then they'll suspend his account and hold his funds, and they'll tell him, if you want us to, reactivate your account and release your funds, please provide us with a list of all the people that you purchased, that you got incentivized reviews from. And everybody's gonna, if they're smart, they're gonna comply and say, I'm so sorry, you're right, I'm gonna not do this again. Here's a list of the reviews. And now they could just see, oh, here's a list of the reviews that are incentivized. Let's see what else this person reviewed. And it's a whole domino effect, and everybody gets nailed at the end. So people have gotten nailed years later. Like it's so not worth it to ever mess with fake reviews. And Amazon gives you Amazon Vine. It's so, and you can request reviews. In the order number, there's the request a review button. They give you. It's not hard to get a lot of reviews. Sell units. Started off at an aggressive price. Like my strategy with Vine, I love Amazon Vine. My strategy with Vine is I always enroll it at a lower price, because a lot of people, even though they're getting the product for free, they're still reviewing it for the shopper. Like, is it a good value? Is it worth it? So, you know what I mean? Are these headphones worth $30, or are they worth, if it's a $30 headphone and they're, so quality, they're going to say, you know what, this is something I would expect to pay $15 for. But if you started off 50% cheaper and it's a $15 or a $10, they're getting it for free anyway. The person is getting it for free anyway. You're probably not driving a lot of sales in the beginning anyway. You don't have any reviews. You should always start it off at a low price, and then you could inch it back up. Looking at the conversion rate and things like that, that's a much safer thing to do than ever messing with any type of review manipulation. Use Vine. I love Vine. If somebody doesn't have brand registry and they can't do Vine, it's like I feel so bad for them.
And that was going to be my next question. What are the parameters to qualify to use the Vine program?
You got to be brand registered, and you have to. It's annoying the way Amazon words it. You have to be owner permissions. So a lot of times people, I'll work with people that they have exclusives for certain brands. They're not the real owner, so it's annoying when they have to ask the person, the company, hi, can you give us owner permission so that we could enroll it in Vine? But if you're the owner of the brand, you just need brand registry. It's crazy. There's so many other benefits to it, but that's a huge one. You need to be brand registered. You need to enroll your product in Vine. You can get 30 reviews right away within a few weeks. If you're not, you're going to be spending thousands of dollars advertising a listing that has no reviews. It's a killer. It's a killer. It's still a waste of money to advertise something when you can't enroll it in Vine and you can't get the review. And then you get unlucky. You get one bad review. It's over. You get a 1-star review, first review. It's horrible.
Yeah. And so it sounds like for methods you recommend for sellers to get legally within terms of service, increase their reviews, Vine, you're definitely a big proponent of. You said also the request a review button. What other methods do you recommend sellers can do that are within TOS, of course?
If you want to be 100%, clean and not do anything, really, you're not supposed to put insert cards where you're asking for reviews, even though a lot of big sellers do it. I've seen people where you can have a card, a card where any warranty, and if people have issues with the product, they'll reach out to you and you can just refund them. But even then, you have to be careful. You can't tell them I'm refunding you, but leave me a review. You you gotta be very careful. My strategy started off at a low price, enroll it in Vine. You're at a low price, you'll get good reviews. And since you're at a low price during the launch period, you're probably gonna sell a lot of units. Once you start advertising, you'll sell a lot of units, which will help your conversion rate, which will boost up your organic rank. And then the request a review button. You could do it manually, which I think is crazy, but also you can get like extensions, and there's all extensions where it'll just automatically request reviews on all your orders.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's any problem with it's not hard to get reviews these days legally.
Yeah. And even, I mean, I don't know what you have to do to get enrolled for this, but I even have my Echo behind me, who every once in a while will pop up and say, you purchased this product, 3 weeks ago. What would you rate it out of 5 stars? I mean, I get one of those at least once every 2 weeks. And I'm like, how is this something that Amazon does on its own? Are the sellers enrolling in this? But they have that too. And there's 3 of these devices in my house alone. Everybody's got to have one. So
do you review it, or do you leave a review?
I do sometimes. Where I don't review often is if I bought a product as a gift, because then I'm not actually using the item. If it's something I bought and I'm using, I'll go on ahead and rate it. I guess that's a rating and not a review, because she's not gonna transcribe whatever I'm speaking out. It's just out of stars. But so where would you recommend then, Hymie, for folks to stay ahead of the curve and up to date on what strategies are working, what's not, what maybe used to be okay with TOS and no longer is? Because even with reviews specifically, folks used to do some gray hat things that are totally not possible anymore, right? So what would be your recommendation for staying ahead of the curve?
Really, Amazon is it's a whole nother world. You need to be in that world. You need to be part of either group chats where people are discussing the new fee updates or the new, any type of new rules. Me constantly, in my office, I have a TV in the background where I'll constantly just have, YouTube playing just different podcasts with people and just different updates from Amazon. If you're in the world, you'll be updated with what's going on. The problem is a lot of people, they think Amazon is just you throw something up there and it'll sell. And, they really don't give it too much attention, and they don't, they don't know what's really flying on Amazon, and then they get in trouble with certain things. Like I've had people, can I ask my friend to leave me reviews? I want to, and I'm like, no. He's like, what do you mean? I told 5 people to buy my product and leave me reviews. And it's like, are you crazy? Like Amazon knows the review percentage. They look at where the reviews are coming from. Like you should never risk your business for something like that. It's a crazy thing. But if you're not in the world, and it's so hard to stay up to date with everything, because there's so much information and different changes in the algorithm and everything, all fees, understanding. But like you need to, if you're in the world and you're in group chats or you're watching listening to podcasts or watching YouTubes, like you should make it something, even once a week, just listen to something. Just there's so much information out there. That's how I learned everything when I didn't know anything about Amazon years and years ago, from YouTube and just research.
Yeah, you said you have the TV with the podcast. I'm imagining like a wall of TVs, like a stock exchange, watching the prices change, right? Like a ticker, and just constantly flashing between.
I have one TV in the corner, and sometimes if I'm doing a Zoom meeting, I'll drag the Zoom meeting to the TV because it connects to my computers, and sometimes I'll just have YouTubes and podcasts playing at Amazon, just background. You pick up things all the time, just things that you even know, and it's just like a little reminder. A lot of things but just to hear it, it's like, oh wow, did I do it this time? It's just so important.
Yeah, and you had said at the beginning too about the FBA fees, right? So we know that there's changes coming down the pipe. I mean, even at the release of this episode, there will have been changes just happen and some that are fixing to happen. And on the topic of FBA, what would be your best practices for inventory management and how to avoid stockouts, but also avoid overstocking?
So now Amazon has fees where if you have low inventory on something, they're going to mail you. Which I'm not sure how I feel about that, honestly, because I'm very anti having low stock on something, because a lot of times people will have an item that's selling very well, and with there's 2 weeks left to supply, and I'm like, you can't first of all, Amazon's algorithm hates that when you're low on stock. You got to think of it like a regular retail store. If you're wholesaling goods to a retail store and something is running low on stock, they're not going to want to put it on the front shelf. They see how much value you have in the product in their store. They're going to, you know what I mean? If it's getting to be leftovers, they're not going to want to keep it there. And then also just the fulfillment centers, like they're not going to be able to spread it out throughout all the different fulfillment centers in America. So if you have a week's worth of stock, they're going to keep it in one fulfillment center, and then somebody in one state is going to buy it, and it's going to say 2-day shipping, and another guy in another state is going to buy it. It could say 5-day or 6-day shipping, and that guy might need it for the weekend, and he won't buy it, and the conversion rate goes down. But it's a whole thing. But I usually like to keep in 60 to 90 days worth of stock. Also because I'm planning on building up the listing. You know what I mean? I think there's always room for improvement and room for more and more growth, unless you're the biggest seller in your space. But if we're sending in 90 days worth of stock and we're selling at the same rate, it'll be 90 days. If we're sending in 90 days worth of stock and we're improving our sales, it might be 60 days or 30 days. But if you're sending in only 30 days worth of stock, and all of a sudden some ads start to pick up, or you start to get ranked well for a keyword organically, and you start seeing a lot more sales, and then your inventory just gets very, very low, like you're going to lose the rank. It's a huge headache. And then when you run low or run out of stock, it's like you need to spend. Usually you need to spend to get that traction back.
Mm-hmm. And so to kind of close out, I mean, I love all the info that you dropped for us so far. I know we've hit kind of a couple of different areas, right? With PPC, organic, rank, inventory, I mean, we've hit all the things. So just to kind of sum it up, what are maybe some of the most common mistakes that you see Amazon sellers making today? And then what would be your tips to correct those mistakes?
We kind of touched on it. Some of the big mistakes that I see people making is when they're launching a listing, that they're starting it off on their target price, or maybe even higher than that. Like they don't even know what a target price should be, and they're just starting it off at as high as possible. But like in the beginning of a launch, there's a honeymoon period, and Amazon is looking at your listing, and if you're not showing them conversions, and it's probably the opposite. If you're at a very high price, and it's a new listing, and you have low reviews or no reviews, you're probably showing them a very low conversion. It really hurts the listing. It does damage to the listing. And then also you can get bad reviews from that. So like that's one of the big things, is just starting off your price too high. You want to start it off at an aggressive price, get good reviews, get good traction, and then you slowly start to inch up your price, still looking at the conversion rate, still looking at how's your organic rank doing on different keywords, and you got to find the sweet spot. And another thing that a lot of sellers do, like I just had a meeting with a seller an hour before our call, and we've been working together maybe for 8 or 9 months, and the sales are increasing on a lot of different products. But we're always finding ourselves where we have 2 weeks worth of supply, and it's like we need to send in a nice amount of stock where we're anticipating some sort of growth. Because if you're just going to send in the bare minimum, and then all of a sudden we see that, this week Amazon boosted our rank organically for this word, and now we're selling a lot more units. And then if you run out, it's game over. If you run out, that's it. You disappear off. If you have a single ASIN, it disappears completely. And then if people that are selling clothing, like I'm sure you've heard it a million times, like you could be selling clothing and you have a listing of a lot of colors, a lot of sizes, and you sell out of your one MVP, like your best selling ASIN, and the whole listing crashes because Amazon's keywords, they're ranking you on child ASINs. You know what I mean? So like your main child ASIN might be ranked for one keyword, like very, very high up. And then if that sells out, like it's the next one, it might show, but you might be on the second page with the other ASIN for the same keyword. So, and you're killing the whole momentum. You're just killing the whole snowball effect. It's very real that the more that they see you doing, the more they're going to keep pushing it and pushing it. They want you to make sales. Amazon wants you to make sales. That's how they get paid.
Definitely.
Those are two big ones.
Yeah. Hymie, thank you so much for everything. You had mentioned before that you've been doing this about 12 years. It's clear you know a lot about the different facets of running an Amazon business. So share with us more about what exactly it is you do, how folks can work with you, and how they get in touch.
Yeah, so I the full account management. I do full account management, focusing on organic rank and overall growth. I do the listing optimization. I do the images, making sure that all the images convert properly. And I'll do a lot of A/B testing on the click-through rates for the images in order to make sure that when they're searching the word, they'll really click into our listing. And also A/B testing on the prices. Like everything I've learned over the past 12 years, I'm applying it to other people's listings and other people's brands. And yeah, my goal is to just build up a profitable, strong listing. I don't believe in having, thousands and thousands of, low, small selling or mediocre listings. I believe that you could have a few very good listings that are doing a lot of money. I have listings that do over $1 million a year on single SKUs. And that's, and there's a lot of people that could do that. It's like whatever your biggest seller is doing on Amazon, they don't know any secrets that we don't know. It's just really about looking at the data and doing the right work and having the right strategy. So full account management, and I just everything that I've learned over 12 years, I apply it to your business in order to grow it. I run the ads, optimization of the images, creating the shipments to make sure that we don't run out of stock, and that the opposite, that we actually perform well for the Amazon algorithm and that they rank us better. Everything. I treat it like it's my own business. And they can find me on LinkedIn. Yeah, they can find me on LinkedIn. Yeah, because you asked that part. I forgot to. You can find me on LinkedIn. You could also Google my name. You can go to my website, hymiezebede.com. You can email me at hymiezebede.com. If you ever want me to look at your listing, give you a free audit. And then, sorry, continue. What were you saying?
I was just going to say, if a seller is interested in working with you, should they be a seller launching their first product, or should this be an experienced seller looking to grow from 1 to 10 million? What does that a client contractor alignment kind of look like for you?
Both. I don't discriminate. First of all, I love new launches. Because I'm all about building it up strong and taking full advantage of the honeymoon period, doing everything right from the beginning. So I love new launches, and I also love working with big sellers and experienced sellers who either they're doing very, very well, but they're just not sure how to get to the next level. And then there's a lot of people that reach out to me. Their sales used to be amazing last year, or 2 years ago or 6 months ago, and they're not sure what happened. And a lot of times it's either they were ranked for a very, very good keyword and they just weren't tracking it. They don't know what happened, and they just let it slip away. We need to get them organically ranked for that. Or maybe there's certain keywords that they were spending on, or certain ASINs that they were targeting through ads, and it was driving a lot of sales for them. And now, they don't know what's flying. So I look into everything, really, really deep dive into the data to build it back up for them. So yeah. Small sellers, big sellers, new sellers. If somebody wants to grow, I'll get them there.
Amazing. And for our audio listeners, Hymie's name is spelled Hymie, last name Zebede, Zebede. So the website's hymiezebede.com. Email address is hymie@hymiezebede.com. Amazing. Hymie, thank you so much for being here today. Appreciate chatting with you. Always good to see you all. This will come out after we see each other, but I'll see you at Prosper in a couple weeks, and I'm sure some other upcoming events throughout the year.
Very excited for that. Thank you for having me. Great show, and I really enjoyed being here.
Awesome. Thank you.
We'll do many more.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much. And thank you for everybody who tuned in today. If you guys liked what you heard, please be sure to give us a thumbs up, share your thoughts with us in the comments, subscribe to the show, and we will see you on the next one.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Sellernomics podcast. Special thanks to our sponsor, Gatita. Did you know that Amazon probably owes you money for FBA reimbursements? Get $400 in free FBA reimbursements at Getita.com/Sellernomics. Be sure to join us again next week for more great tips on how to grow your business. And thanks again for listening.